The mansion was quiet, save for the soft ticking of the antique grandfather clock in the hallway. Morning light filtered through the floor-length windows, casting golden lines across the polished marble floor. Inside the vast kitchen stood a woman, thin, tired, and barely in her 40s, though life had aged her faster. Her name was Rosa. She wore a simple gray uniform and had been up since 5, as always. Rosa carefully opened the fridge, her hands trembling just a little. Unbeknownst to her, someone had been watching. From the security office, a man in a sharp navy blue suit stared at the screen, his jaw tightening. That man was Daniel Ashford, billionaire, CEO of Ashford Technologies, and heir to one of the oldest fortunes in the country. Known for his ruthless business instincts and cold demeanor, Daniel was not someone you crossed, especially not in his home. He had seen enough. Within the hour, Rosa was standing at the gates of the mansion, her meager belongings stuffed into a single plastic bag. No one argued with Daniel's decisions. Not the staff, not his board, not even his lawyers. "You were caught checking the fridge. I don't tolerate theft in this house," Daniel had said, not even looking her in the eye. Rosa didn't argue. She bowed her head, said a soft, "I understand," and walked out. But what Daniel didn't know, what no camera could see, was why Rosa had opened that fridge. 3 days passed. It was raining the morning Daniel found it, a tiny envelope wedged under a flower pot near the front door. At first he thought it was junk. But when he opened it, his breath caught in his throat. Inside was a handwritten letter, shaky but neat. It read, "Mr. Ashford, I didn't take anything from your fridge. I only opened it to see if there were any leftovers that might be thrown away. Not for me, for my son. His name is Leo. He's 6 years old. He has leukemia. We've been living in a shelter ever since my husband died in a car accident last year. I took this job to try and save him. I'm sorry if I crossed a line. I understand why you let me go. Thank you for the job while it lasted." "Rosa," Daniel stared at the letter. He read it twice, 3 times. His mind spiraled, but one emotion rose above the rest: shame. He remembered how she never took the food offered to staff, how she always seemed tired, and how she once asked to leave early just once a month. Something he denied without a second thought. Now he realized that's when she must have taken her son to chemo. Daniel wasn't known for guilt. But something inside him broke. Perhaps it was the memory of his own mother. How she used to skip meals just to make sure he was fed, back when their fortune hadn't yet existed. Without hesitating, he got into his car. It took him hours to find the shelter she mentioned. When he finally did, it was late evening, and the rain had soaked him through. The shelter receptionist gave him a wary look, clearly not used to seeing millionaires in drenched Armani suits. "Rosa Alvarez?" he asked. The woman's face softened. "She's not here anymore. Her son got worse 2 days ago. She left with him. Hospital on East 9-2nd. Daniel's chest tightened. He drove like a madman. Parking illegally, he ran into the pediatric cancer ward, asking nurses, pleading for information. Finally, he found them through the window of a small room. He saw her. Rosa was asleep in a chair, her head resting beside a frail-looking boy in a hospital bed. Leo's skin was pale, but his little fingers clutched a Superman action figure tightly. Daniel knocked gently. When Rosa opened the door and saw him, her eyes widened. She looked tired, scared, and confused. I didn't mean for you to see the letter," she said softly. "I'm glad I did," Daniel replied. His voice cracked. "I was wrong." There was a pause, long and painful. Rosa didn't say anything. "I want to help," he continued. "I want to make sure he gets the best care. I've already called a specialist clinic overseas. They have a treatment program, one of the best, and I'll pay for everything." Tears filled Rosa's eyes. "Why?" Daniel looked at the boy and then back at her. "Because I forgot what it means to be human, and you reminded me." Months passed. Leo received treatment at one of the top children's hospitals in Europe. Daniel visited often, sometimes with gifts, sometimes just to read stories with him. He began seeing more than just a sick boy. He saw hope, resilience, and love. Rosa never asked for anything more than what was given, but Daniel gave anyway. Not out of guilt anymore, but out of something deeper. Connection, gratitude, maybe even redemption. One afternoon, as Leo ran through a sunflower field outside the hospital, laughter in his voice, Daniel stood beside Rosa and said quietly, "You taught me that even in a house full of riches, kindness is the most valuable thing." And that's the story of how a billionaire fired his maid over a fridge and ended up saving a life instead. The truth made him cry, not because it revealed a mistake, but because it revealed a chance to be better, to change, to love. In the end, it wasn't Daniel's money that made the biggest difference. It was Rosa's quiet courage, and a little boy named Leo, who reminded him that no act of kindness is ever wasted. Too message sometimes we judge too quickly, act too harshly, and forget the battles others are silently fighting. But it's never too late to open our hearts, to make things right, and to let compassion guide us. Because behind every small action might be a story that changes everything. Daniel Ashford sits at his glass desk staring at a photo. It's of Leo, smiling, missing one tooth, holding up a drawing he made of Superman and Mr. Daniel. Daniel isn't the same man he was. Gone is the stone, cold billionaire who barked orders and fired without blinking. These days, his staff noticed something different, a softer tone, longer pauses before decisions, more time spent outside his office, and, most surprisingly, a new foundation named the Leo Initiative, dedicated to supporting single parents of terminally ill children.